here's what's been going on lately in Superfund. At the consent decree progress meeting this month, the big reveal was Atlantic Richfield will be shifting the remainder of the designs for Buffalo Gulch, Northside Tailings to design build contracts. And what that means is that a single company contractor to Atlantic Richfield will be doing the design and the construction. And there wasn't a lot of discussion about what they expect from this change, why, so I'm going to speculate. I'm going to speculate they hire a big company with a lot of resources. It's potentially possible to get things done faster. And there's also some efficiencies that happen because you have the same company who will do the construction, doing the design, and there's, they can tackle issues ahead of time if they know it's hard to construct or impossible to construct. There's, the knowledge base you get from designing it when you're doing the construction, etc. And so I believe it was intended to improve the ability of the contracting company to coordinate design with construction needs.
Ian,
Yeah.
Ian, will they retain LDI?
There was no other information about this. My speculation would be a lot of the current teams that are working on it stay involved because they know everything about it. And they're involved in some capacity, but there's no discussion about how this would actually flesh out. I'll let you know when I start to see it. I do think it has something to do with the push to make things happen quicker and more efficiently, and I expect more people working on it, not less. The next thing we heard was that DQ will be releasing the 30% design for the Blacktail Creek riparian actions in May. We also heard JP Gallagher and Emma Rott were pushing for additional work to begin and the design process to unfold quicker. JP was noting that the repository siting committee has done what they need to do, and he wanted to see a decision on the repository or pit disposal location. Emma chimed in that the repository siting process has a few more steps to go through before it's done. There's still a requirement for final report, and EPA considers those final steps to be an important part of community outreach. But they were both, expressing interest in seeing things happen quicker. I talked with Emma after the meeting. She said EPA hopes to get a clearly identified set of priorities and hopes to get Atlantic Richfield to stick to a schedule for those. There's been a lot of shifts in the schedule, shifts in priorities as different flames need to get put out, different projects try and get scheduled to occur on a year, and the design process gets expedited for something if they think they can actually get it constructed, in the following construction season, things like that. I mean, you guys have watched this unfold over the last 5 years, and there's been a lot of changes. And so one thing EPA would like to see is a stricter schedule. I think that's enough for now. My own, when I look at this and try and figure out why things go slow in Superfund, it's a chicken and egg situation, and the process is always slow. But I think the hope here is that it doesn't continue to that, more things need to get constructed on these consent decree projects soon. And I think that the momentum's building. A lot of these designs are getting to the point where they should be able to unfold quickly if people are able to, if the resources are thrown at them.
That also might be one of the reasons that AR wants one contract to design and build, is that might be easier to put into a project plan if you deal with one organization rather than saying, okay, you're designing it. When that one gets done, I have to talk to this other guy. Internally, they might be able to facilitate some speed there. So that hopefully is the way we're going.
I agree. I still got a bunch of things to go over. All right, next up was Copper Mountain. That's what this slide is that hopefully everybody's looking at. The first in a series of technical meetings that'll happen this year on Copper Mountain happened recently. And there's a plan to have regular monthly meetings this year. At Copper Mountain, this is the sports complex, right? Where there's some issues with seeps and contaminated runoff. They've been doing a lot of testing and sampling. And the plan is to finish up data collection this year and have an initial remedy effectiveness evaluation this fall. And that will also include the conceptual site model, which is the written and illustrative representation of the conditions at the site that are affecting contaminant movement and impacts. And I'm going to show you a couple slides from the Copper Mountain meeting last week I thought were interesting. The first one here is, this is a drawing of the cap at the Copper Mountain. So if people aren't familiar, Copper Mountain has both mining waste in it and the old Butte landfill. It was capped in the 90s. The cap, this is a drawing of the cap. Essentially you have your growth media on top, you have a filter fabric, you have a drainage layer. The red is a silt infiltration barrier to keep water from moving into the waste. And I didn't know this, but the silt was derived from lower area 1 during the removal in the 90s. And then this blue box is the waste that's below the cap. And so what they were looking at this meeting was some of the chemistry of leachate water in the red and blue boxes. And so one of the concerns was that the silt, having come from lower area 1, might be a source of metals. And they also sampled the waste below the cap. And they used a what's called a synthetic precipitation leaching procedure sample. And that's a sample that's designed to mimic how precipitation would leach a contaminant. And so in a nutshell, here's two tables. The one on the left is the lower area 1 silt, and the one on the right is the deeper waste leachate. And what you see is that the silt numbers are relatively low compared to the waste. You also see here the waste is saturated. So somehow the groundwater levels have risen into the waste in the repository, which is never a desirable situation. That's how you create leachate, and leachate tends to flow and find a way to seep out of repositories. So my assumption is part of the solution for this will be a way to either keep it dry or keep the wetness that's in it from moving out of it.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you know what time of year these samples were taken?
No. Nope.
Okay, because one of my concerns for that area has always been the amount of water that they put on the grass to keep it growing above the asphalt that they put in. But,
Yep,
okay,
I hear you there. One of the things
Yeah.
they did was an infiltration test of the barrier. I don't have
Okay.
any details on that, but the test was positive, meaning it was a barrier. But the way barriers work, you know, is you can't test them at every point, right? And so the question is is the barrier consistent across
compromise.
the cap?
Yeah. Okay,
All right. Let's see. So the cause of the groundwater levels being high is not clear at this point. Irrigation is one possibility. Let's see. And we should have more information by the end of the year that'll help to answer that question. All right, looking ahead, these are a couple of other things they're looking at Copper Mountain. This is an old wooden flume that has an unknown origin, and it's you know, I think potentially a source of contaminants leaving the repository. The flume, they're doing a ground penetrating radar to attempt to be able to track the source of that flow. And then they are doing a camera inspection of this storm drain. And I didn't realize this, but this storm drain is actually Grove Gulch. They're going to do a video inspection, but this storm drain with Grove Gulch in it actually goes through the sports complex, following this red line. And so the camera inspection is, you know, one goal is to look for, you know, inflows into that storm drain from the saturated waste in the repository. All right. Next up, we have Bella Butte. We talked a bit about this in February. It's a mine reclamation project going on in Walkerville, right below the Alice pit. This is the before construction photo I grabbed from Google Earth or Google Street Map. You can see the cap shaft. And this is the old vegetative cap that had bare areas with some mine waste poking through. And there was also an unreclaimed area on the far side of it, where city streets were actually constructed on mine waste. And I got some photos from Atlantic Richfield showing the work that they had done on it last fall, and they're going to start up again here soon. This is them clearing debris when they started. This is the new storm drain controls and the cap being installed. And same thing here. So the Bella Butte was a combined insufficiently reclaimed, unreclaimed site. And both of those projects were rolled into a single work plan to bring the site up to current reclamation standards that we call the Butte Hill Reclamation Standards. And that's actually all I got for you.